Hey, what's going on? It's me, Jeremy Nichols, Florida's hospitality headhunter. And every single week on Thursdays, I update this channel on frequently asked questions, content for job seekers, and sometimes even content for new and upcoming recruiters on how to navigate the current hiring market. Well, last week on LinkedIn, I figured I would flip it. The content that I want to share in this video is just some frequently asked questions that I wanted to know what is going on in the market right now. What are job seekers seeing and what are they wondering? Because you, the job seeker, would know more than I would because you're the one in the trenches. So in this video, I'm going to share 3 of the questions that I got in my thread, and I'll share some more later on in some upcoming videos. If you're a job seeker or a hiring authority, please click that subscribe button because every single week on Thursdays, I will be putting up a new video. So with that said, let's jump right into it. As you can see right here, I made a post on LinkedIn and I just wanted to find a few questions that job seekers are going through. So I'm going to get started with this one right here. All right, so this one comes from Tracy and she says, what about this? You applied for a job and you don't hear back from them, good or bad, but the job reappears as a new listing. Do you reapply or do you chalk it up as if it weren't the right fit? All right, Tracy. So I'm gonna jump into this a little bit, and there's a lot of scenarios, but I'll try to elaborate on a few. So you're asking me if a job that you applied to that you haven't heard back from was filled. I guess you're thinking that it was filled because you weren't contacted, and then you see it reappearing on the job boards again. So, unfortunately, there's a lot of times where employers will post a job, and it might not be an immediate need, and it might be a position that they're getting ready to hire for. Whatever the case may be, it's not immediate. And what those companies are doing is they're accumulating resumes for when they're ready to start interviewing. So unfortunately, there's nothing that I can do about that. I do know that it does happen on the corporate side. I know that because I'm from the corporate side originally. Spent 17 years on that side. Now that I'm on the headhunting side, I rarely use job postings. And when I do, I use them for a few searches that are kind of tricky or I might need more candidates for. But that's speaking for me. So why you're not hearing back from these job postings is, or one of the reasons is, it could be that they're just collecting resumes for when they start to actually make phone calls. And they're putting it in their ATS so they can gather resumes. I don't like giving that answer out there. I think it's unfortunate, but it's the truth. Another thing is, yeah, maybe they saw your resume and they just didn't think it checked the boxes, right? It didn't match the specs that they're looking for. Maybe you're missing a couple years in the education that they're looking for, or maybe you don't have a director title and that's what they need. Whatever the case may be, you're not meeting those quick specs and not checking those boxes. So unfortunately, you might have moved to the no pile, right? Another situation is maybe they missed it. You know, you could have just hit it at a time where they didn't see it pop up. It could have went to an Outlook email. Sometimes resumes aren't automatically uploaded into ATSs. Sometimes they go to the Outlook of a recruiter or a hiring manager, and then they have to manually parse them into the ATS, or maybe they have to move them into the ATS, or maybe they have to send them to another hiring authority. There's other ways that your resume will end up in that ATS. So it could have been that, yes, they missed it. So what can you do? Chalk it up as a loss is what you asked me. Well, you could, but if you haven't applied a bunch of times, like I wouldn't be a serial applier where you apply to that job 4 or 5 times. I would not do that. But if you just apply to that job that one time, I don't see an issue with you reapplying again. I don't think you're going to lose anything doing that. And it might this time get in front of that hiring authority that might have missed it. Or better yet, send them a personalized video email directly to that hiring authority, letting them know that you applied for the position and just greeting them in a quick 30-second to 45-second message personalized to them. So I hope that answers your question. And if you want to dig a little bit more and I didn't, just shoot me a DM. Okay, so the next question comes from Patty, and she asks me this. How many times do you follow up on the perfect job fit before the door is closed? Okay, well, kind of ties in with the last question, right? So I'm hearing a lot about how many times and in the communication with a recruiter. I did make a video for that, how to follow up with a recruiter. So I'll put a link for that one right up here. And to answer that question, how many times to follow up for that perfect job? Because that's the key word right here, right? Perfect. How many times do I follow up for that perfect job? If it were me, it depends on the follow-up. I wouldn't drill them with strictly just email or strictly just voicemail. I would break it up. And I would try to find a few different contacts within the company instead of just one. So let's pretend that you're applying for a director of sales position. You could be reporting directly to the general manager, the VP of sales, the CEO, depending on how big the company is. Maybe it's a smaller property. Whatever the case may be, find out who is above or who that director of sales would report to at that property and get a few options, 2, 3, 4 different options, and reach out to them. Send emails letting them know that you're excited about the opportunity that you saw online, a quick pitch on why you're the perfect fit. You can call the office and leave a voicemail. Now, more than likely, they're not going to pick up, but at least they'll hear your voice and your message. So just be ready to leave a good voicemail message. If you're connected with them on LinkedIn, definitely send them a direct message, but break this up. So email, voicemail, direct message, email, voicemail, direct message. Make sure you're keeping it organized so you're not doing it all in the same week, like day after day after day. Break it up a little bit. But I would say my wheelhouse is 3 times of those cycles. And if you really want this position and you want to go for it, shoot, at this rate, you have nothing to lose. You only have something to gain. You don't have the position. So if you want to do it a 4th time, feel free if it's the perfect job. But back to that personalized video messaging, I definitely recommend you do that. Okay, so my last question that I'm going to address in this video, and keep in mind, I will be addressing the other questions in some upcoming videos, but I wanted to make this quick. So this one is from Perry, and he asks, if you are still on furlough, is it better to mention or not? Okay, so Perry, yes, definitely mention it, because technically you're still employed, right? If you're in furlough, they are still in communication with you and their plan is to bring you back. So if you're interviewing with another company and they ask you, what are you doing right now? Yeah, bring it up. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing at all, zero wrong with being on furlough, especially in our industry in hospitality. So feel free to bring that up in the interview. If you are asking about your resume, I would say, yeah, keep it on your resume that you're currently still employed. You could, if you want, put in parentheses underneath that on furlough if you want. I don't think that's necessary. If you're still employed, you're still employed, and you can bring that up in the first initial phone screen. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with bringing it up. I recommend it. If you have any further questions about that, send me a direct message on my LinkedIn page because I know we're connected. So with that said, I wanted to make this video short and sweet. I hope I addressed those questions for the people that sent them to me, and also anybody out there who's listening. If you have any additional questions you want to ask me and you want me to address on this channel, you can put it in the comment section below. You can send me a direct message on LinkedIn, or you can email me at jeremy@geckohospitality.com. With that said, I hope you guys all have a great week. Like this video if you like the content that I'm sharing, and hey, I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. See you later.